I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm picking up the pieces one by one. I've taken all the photos down. I'm staring at a space now. It's not much fun without you around. I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. And it ain't easy being silent when the sun goes down. And I can still hear your voice over my shoulder, but you're not there when I look around. Yeah, I'm moving on ever since you. To every word you said, I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. It don't feel right. No, I never will without you here with me. I'm sick and tired of being lonely. I don't think I can take another moment. Why'd you have to call and leave? I'm moving on after you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm moving on ever since you left. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right. I'm hanging on to every word you said. I'm moving on, but it don't feel right.
We're supposed to have two guests today to talk about Lyme disease, but one of them I think is having some technical problems. But we're going to go with the person that's turned up, and we'll just jump straight into it. Welcome to Cafe Lockdown, Jordan.
Thank you, Michael. Good to be here.
Now, let's start. First off, you're young, you're good looking, you're from Melbourne. How did you end up with Lyme disease? Or tell us the story of how it happened.
So it was back in early 2013, and I'd recently come back down to Melbourne from a holiday in Queensland, and I just started to get sick. I started to get really bad chronic fatigue. I started to get big boils on my face, on my skin. I got to the point, I couldn't see out of my eyes properly because they were so swollen. They were basically closed shut. So this was, I was 16 and a half at the time. So this was pretty tough for me in high
You're
school.
16. They're trying to pick up, and you're looking like the
Yeah.
elephant man.
It was it was a little bit challenging. I wasn't sure.
Were you bitten by a tick? Did you?
Well, I had been bitten in the past by a tick, and we weren't sure at the time what was going on. We didn't know what the cause for this was. So we went to, I think, first of all, we went to just a dermatologist, and he's like, yeah, it's cystic acne. We're going to chuck you on Roaccutane, which was I guess the standard treatment for cystic acne. But we were, with my parents, we're kind of thinking, well, there's a lot of other things going on here. It's not just the cysts on my face. There's chronic fatigue. There's brain fog.
Tell us about the chronic fatigue, because you do hear about it, but basically you just don't have the energy to get up. So it's affecting your mitochondria or something.
Yeah. So I was a very sporty teenager. I was always active. I was always out and about as much as possible. And I basically went from that to, I'd get up in the morning and I'd have about an hour before I'd used up all my energy for the day, and then I was back in bed and I had to go back to sleep. I couldn't do things. So I was out of school for a little bit. Basically you feel like a heavy weight. Your body just starts to shut down. You can't do the normal things. Sometimes just a trip to the toilet in the morning was all I could manage, really, before I was back laying down again.
How did you cope with that on an emotional level as 16? You want to be out there, and suddenly here you are as an invalid.
Yeah, it was challenging. I don't know. I generally have kind of just dealt with things as they've come. It's never been like the complete end of the world, doom and gloom. Like, yes, you do go through periods where it's like very depressive, but I'm religious. I have my faith that, I guess, gives me hope, and so for that, it's like, okay, I have this to hold on. I have this to look towards. It's never, oh, this is the end of the world. So I always had that to hold on to, and so that helped get me through. How
did you find out it was Lyme disease in the end?
So we went through a whole bunch of different people. We went to a bunch of different specialists here in Melbourne, and then someone, I think it was a family friend, recommended going to Queensland to talk to a lady up there, and she did it. It was a slightly more alternative treatment, but we went to her, and she picked up all these bacteria that were from a tick, that were known to be from a tick, and so then we started working down. Okay, well, this is like Lyme disease, and that I didn't know what Lyme disease was at the time, and so this was like a whole new can of worms being opened for me. And it's not been until the last couple of years that I've fully properly got a better grasp of what I've been dealing with. So we started treating it as though it was Lyme disease, and that brought about improvements in my condition. And so that was through 2013 into 2014 when I was in year 12, and I'd have periods where I was, okay, we're getting back, and then you'd crash again, and then you'd go up, and then you'd crash, and that basically went on for until the end of 2019, when I was in uni, and I was studying Bachelor of Health Science naturopathy. So I was going down the natural medicine route myself, because that's what helped me get some control in my life.
That's also kind of spiritual. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You get this horrible thing, Like one woman just here. I can see Eileen here. I'm going to bring Eileen in a sec. But here, Shana, I had Lyme disease, couldn't get out of bed for 2 months, and my naturopath saved my life. So this is sort of, I'm just bringing in Eileen, but this is sort of how it works. You have this thing, now you're becoming someone who can help treat it and save other people. That's quite a beautiful way to go through life. Let's bring in Eileen. Hello, Eileen.
I
How's your
Hi,
hearing?
Eileen.
You said your hearing's a bit off?
yeah, it comes and goes. Actually, I've been told my ears are perfect, but because of nerve injury, it just plays up, and if I get a bit excited, it'll block. But I'm doing pretty well. I'm accustomed to it, and
I
I'm a
might
bit
just hold you. I'm just going to go back to let Jordan finish, and then we'll
sure.
come back to you, okay, and hear about your thing. And we'll try not to get you too excited. There's, so Jordan, you're studying. You're in year 12, and you're studying to be a naturopath. What happened from there?
So yeah, that was end of 2019. So I was in like my 4th year, I think that was it, at 3rd or 4th year of studying this degree, and I was getting towards the end of it, and I was noticing that I was not coping. I was getting worse. My brain was not functioning. So I'd go into class, and I'd be sitting in class, and the teacher was talking, and we'd be having all these activities and assessment things to do, and I'm like, I have no idea what is going on right now. Like, they're talking, nothing is computing in my brain. I'm like, what's the point in even being here right now? Because I can't do this properly. And so I'm like, I'm meant to be studying to treat people, and I'm like, I can't even fix myself right now. I don't know what's going on. So early 2020, I stepped back from study. I dropped down classes, and I just got to the point where I'm like, I can't study. I can't do this anymore because I don't know what's going on. I'm not learning anything. I'm not useful at all. And at this point, I was like, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is the Lyme disease. I was like, okay, we've sorted that. This is just some ongoing side effects or whatever of other things that I'm dealing with. We found a cyst on my pituitary gland. We're like, okay, maybe this is causing the neurological symptoms. But so we kept trying all these things, and nothing was getting better. And so I ended up finding a doctor here in Melbourne, and we started going down the Lyme disease route again. And that started to improve things. And I think it was October 2022. I got a really severe infection. I think it was made worse by the fact that I was struggling with Lyme disease, so my immune system was not coping very well. So I nearly died in October 2022 in Queensland. I basically had full body shutdown and failure. I was having seizures. I was losing consciousness. Lord. I was vomiting. My heart basically carked it. And yeah, I was ready to die at that point. I accepted that this was probably going to be the end. Made it through that, and continued treatment with my doctor here. I started developing arm tremors after that, which turned into full body seizures. And so for a couple of years, I was dealing with seizures. And it got to the point early last year, so 2024, where I was talking to my doctor, and we'd tried some new medications, and we'd seen a little bit of improvement. And then she was like, okay, she's like, as much as I like seeing you, I'd rather not be seeing you in 5 years' time. So we can keep experimenting with different medications. We can keep experimenting with different treatments here within the limited grasp that we have here in Australia. Or you can go overseas to Cyprus, where there's a few clinics in Cyprus that treat people with chronic health issues and Lyme disease, etc. And my doctor had been there herself. She's like, or you can just fork out a big chunk of money and go overseas for this treatment that had worked positively for her, and she'd had other clients that she sent over there, and it worked well for them. And so I sat with that for a little bit, and I talked to my friends, I talked to my family, and I had no money because I hadn't been able to work consistently. I still haven't technically been able to work full-time for a very long period, basically ever. But so I had no money, and I had a friend say to me, he's like, well, why don't you start a GoFundMe? You've got a lot of friends. There's a lot of people in the church that want to see you get better. They've seen you suffering for a very long time. People will chip in. And so I talked to my family about that, and we ended up starting a GoFundMe earlier last year to raise, I think it was, I needed about $40,000 to be able to go to Cyprus for 8 weeks of treatment to get, the best chance of getting over or getting through this condition. And so I started the GoFundMe. Within 3 days, we hit $40,000.
Wow, love it.
I had friends from all around the world sending money. I had random people that I'd never met before donating money. I had GoFundMe get in contact because they were so impressed by how the fundraiser was doing that then they put me in touch with, I think it was Yahoo News' editor at the time, and he ran a story. I think the Herald Sun ran a story too. Anyway, we ended up raising about $55,000 to go to Cyprus, which I did in September of last year. And so I spent just under 3 months over there doing treatment.
Could I stop you there and just come back to the treatment after this, and we'll just get Eileen up to where she is now. Eileen, could you just start? When did you get Lyme disease or find out that you had Lyme disease? What was the first symptoms you were having?
Well, it was over 20 years ago. So I was at 22 years ago. I'm just looking here for what year that was. Richard and I were coming home from Queensland from a holiday to go down to Victoria, back home. I had a daughter at Byron Bay, and we wanted to stop in and say hi. We're at a beautiful stage in our life, around 58, and the kids had all left and living their life. This was our moment. We'd worked hard. We were happy to do that. We loved the outdoors. We went bike riding, but most importantly, almost like marathon walking. We could walk all day. And so on this holiday, it's nearly always outdoors. So we went down to Byron, and we were waiting outside the lighthouse. And Lisa wasn't ready to come out. So we said, oh, let's go for a stroll. And she said, oh, there's a couple of tracks over there. We went over to one, and and I don't know a lot about icky bugs, So we went down one, and there was a lot of leeches down there. And I said, oh, God, I'm out of here. And we tried the other one. And as we were coming out of that park, I said to Richard, is something irritating my lower back. I can't see it because it's on my very lower back. And I had not, in 55 years, had any sense of ticks, what they did. Did they do harm? I had no idea. But I didn't like the feeling that I had. And then my daughter had a look and she laughed. She said, "Oh, Mum, it's just a tick." And I said, "Well, get it out, please." And so Richard and Lise tried getting it out together, and I felt snap. And when it snapped, the whole beak and the front of its body went inside my body, and the back half dropped off. I know that all ticks are not infected with the diseases, but this one was. And I knew nothing about them. I couldn't make any kind of a judgment, but they got it out, and I said to Richard, "Let's get home. I just don't feel good about this." So, and on our way home, I decided that I would go and see our family doctor. He was a gorgeous guy. Everyone in the family loved him. We always said he was the sort of guy that had a personality that you wanted to take him home for Christmas dinner. And he was just so nice. He'd known me for ages. And I went in and told him what had happened. And I'd heard that you can get very sick. And he had a personality change. It was like a complete reaction, threw his hands in the air and just went, "No." And I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned. So that was my first introduction. I had no idea that what we were in for. No idea that we were walking into something that was quite horrific, and the resistance and the attitudes, I had no idea, and I had no idea it was going to change the rest of my life. There was 4 local GPs. I was well known I used to take my clients to Hughes next door doctor. I thought I'll try a second opinion. And he went from being his old self where we were jolly together to it was something. I thought, that's weird, doesn't make sense. So and he just said, no, didn't want to talk about it. So this was the beginning of 20 years, a journey of experiencing stuff that did not make sense, and even to today. So that was number 2. I tried another one, and you hardly got it out of your mouth, and no. And I'm completely naive, completely.
Can I ask you, Eileen?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, what were your symptoms that you were dealing with? Because Jordan's told us some of his. His are horrific. Yeah. What were the symptoms you've been dealing with?
The symptoms. We got home from our holiday, and we were building a little house, and we said, let's go around quickly check before we settle in at home. And I was just standing there, and I looked out the window, and I felt like a shot of lightning went through my brain. And it was just one, but it was quite distinctively like a weird shake on my head. So that was the first indicator that something serious was wrong. But I still had I couldn't connect it to anything. So I went back to Huey, our family doctor, and he said, "Oh, you've been working too hard." I said, "I've just had a holiday. We've been biking, we've been riding, we've been walking, we're like total health. We were full of life." And he said, no, you work hard. And he just didn't seem to. Oh, no, I got a lecture. I got a great big long lecture about how allopathic medicine is based on solid science, and what you're talking about is rubbish. And I mean, again, it's like a world you step in, you get one shock after the other. Like, this was all new to me. So, and they sort of say it. It's like one minute you've got this relationship with the doctor, and then it's changed. So I tried a third doctor, and we've been at Rosebud for a very long time. So I know all the doctors. I used to work in disability and take all my clients there. So I tried another one. He wouldn't look at it. Wouldn't go there. So I still didn't know much about it. All I know was the doctors now were behaving weird. And I was actually feeling sicker and sicker by the day. And I didn't know what it was. And I started taking the sickies, and then my legs started to get weak. Yeah, it was quite a radical going downhill, which was, I've never been sick like that. So I went back to Huey, and he said, "Oh, look, you've probably got chronic fatigue syndrome." He said, "How much sick leave have you got?" And I said, 7 months. He said, "Okay, you need every one of those days. I'm going to do a ton of tests on you, and I bet I know what it is at the end." And so for 7 months, I just staggered around home. I could hardly walk from my bed to the door. So the 7 month clocked around, and my boss rang and said, "Hey, you're coming back to work or not?" So anyway, he was very happy to announce that I had chronic fatigue. And I knew I didn't. I knew there was something going on. The thing with Lyme, it doesn't, I've been sick with other things, and here I'm not a young, and I just knew that there's something odd. There's something weird with this. The feelings, the pain, all sorts. But anyway, so I had the 7 months off. The boss contacted me, and so I said, I can't go back to the way I was working. And he gave me a little job to see if I could edge back into work, which I couldn't. And I developed a lot of these other things, that the heavy fatigue, the weakness in my body, and I tried to tell a couple of friends, and they were sort of a bit like, they didn't know anything about it. They didn't know what to say. And I thought, oh. So it's like you start off from scratch. You know nothing, and you walk right into this world of medicine that has established some sort of disdain, some sort of, I don't know. I've never been treated by doctors like that in all my life.
Can I ask you? Sorry. Can I just ask you, how did you find out you had Lyme disease?
Okay. After getting to a stage where I felt I was dying, and I contacted a friend in Queensland, and I said, "Can I come and just sit with you?" I got up there and I told her what I'd been through, and she said, "I reckon we know what you've got. Our daughter's got this thing called Lyme disease." And she said, "It's a terrible, terrible disease." And she said, "You have got all the signs of it." And she said, "We'll put you really need to contact somebody, either Lyme literate doctors. There is a Lyme support group," and because this was news to me. So when I did get home, dreadfully ill still, I started ringing every doctor I could, that my friends had mentioned. I was leaving messages at LDAA, and they finally got back to me. And when I told them my story, they said, "Oh my God, okay." And they set it up for me to go for tests to Australian Biologics, which they knew. They knew all these places. I didn't know any of them. And they just said, we'll have urine pickup at your front door, and we'll see where that goes. And they sent that off to, it was Australian Biologic, and it came back with Borrelia. And they said, "You're a classic Lyme classic Lyme, and I still had to learn a lot about it, but that was coming from Lyme experts, people who know.
Yeah.
That was the start. I did later on get other tests done down the way, but they said you've got Lyme, and also because I'd been bitten and it was quite clear, and it was in Australia. There was nothing like, oh, I'm not sure if I was bitten. It was absolutely clear. So then they said you better join a support group. So you are going to have to learn as much as you can, as fast as you can, because this is a big issue. And that was another thing from where I was at my age. Pardon me. So I started doing just that. I wasn't, I've had Savvy, and the lovely girl who'd set me up for the urine test, and she rang me one morning and said, Eileen, you're a classic. You've got Lyme disease. So,
Can I just stop you there, Eileen? I'm just going to go back to Jordan. There's who's ringing? 2 seconds. So when you got to Cyprus, how did they treat you, Jordan? Did they treat you with the same disdain that the doctors seem to have here, like it's all in your head, or how did they treat you, and if they just how did they treat you when you got there?
With great respect, with
How
great understanding.
How was that to take when you were finally treated with respect? How was that?
It's really nice. Like compared to Eileen, I've been very blessed with a lot of the professionals I've been able to deal with over the years. Yes, I've had people that just turn their nose up at you and just dismiss you straight away. Even from at the Alfred Hospital, they have like a Lyme disease or a tick specialist area, and I had some interesting experiences with some doctors there, but overall, I'd been able to see people that showed respect and understanding and trying to help me out. So my experience is a lot less stressful than Eileen's in that regard. But then, at Cyprus, it was just from the get-go, listening, understanding, and wanting to get you to, okay, this is where you're at, but this is where we think we can get you to, and just basically wanting to, from the get-go, help me, which was, it's always really nice to have that experience.
I was going to say that. How much in your treatment is actually being just acknowledged that you have something, and you're not being, it's not in your it's same for either of you, but that must be a huge step forward in actually starting your healing process, that you're actually being acknowledged that you do have it, surely.
Yeah. It's a huge thing. Because there's so many times over the years where you're like, man, is this all in my head? Why I should be, like, I'm looking at other people, my friends and whatnot around me. I'm like, why is they're all functioning properly? Why can't I? Is this all just a mental thing? But when you have someone that listens to you and lets you know that, you're not going crazy, it's not all in your head, you've got something that's going wrong in your body, let's fix it. That it's like a weight is lifted off your shoulders in that regard.
Is that was the same for you, Eileen? Because every time I have Lyme disease, people have Lyme disease on, the acknowledgement is the first step that they want, because they're almost being treated like they're mad or hypochondriacs, or they're just after what's the word? Just after sympathy or something, and it's they're treated like that. Is that what it was when you finally got acknowledgement that you had something?
Now, when I went to the same clinic, and a lot of Australians go. Well, when I went there, a lot of Australians were going there. You could, and a lot of Europeans. There were people there from so many countries, but as soon as you walk in, the whole place is set like it's a clinic. That the top doctor. There's a lot of Russians. It was a lot of Russian. Did you find that, Jordan? Like Russian doctors, Russian nurses?
Russian, Ukrainian.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
spread.
And Greek, and they all knew everything about Lyme. And then they told us all about how in Russia, I mean, it was, I must say, there was an upside of 20 years I've met hundreds of all sorts of Lyme sufferers. And in there, you've got people coming in from different countries. And then you think, gee, there's a lot of Australians in here. And then there was a long list waiting to come in. And so but the Russians' approach is different. They were doing you can't get the treatment they were giving there. You can't get that here. And it's all set up beautifully. They've got sort of side treatments to keep building you up in other ways while they're doing the main treatment, which is ozone 10 pass. And you just felt that you'd found that place knew everything. I'd be having treatment, and the nurses and actually a Russian doctor, she had a little 2-year-old boy, they would just tell us stories about how the Russians are fantastic. They worked it out through a war that the soldiers were coming back very ill, and they were able to use their medical knowledge or what they do in Russia and work out that they were getting bit by ticks, and all the soldiers were coming back debilitated and not able to go back to war. So they had a big look in it, yeah. But instead of doing, I'm sorry, but we seem to do it a bit dumb. I mean, it was obvious that they don't want to lose it. So they do proper testing, and the Russian people have got this thing that if someone is bitten by a tick, the diagnosis is easy. They get told, if they've got it really bad, they get put on a pension with the expectation that they'll be got well. It is a completely integrated, they've got ozone treatments down hallways of the hospital ready, for use. You get all sorts. It's like a haven for people who have been through what the West puts us through. And you see people come in so ill, like, and this was a big part of what I would call the upside of my experience. Not really upside, but I've met hundreds of people, hundreds. I made friends with some at coffee meetups, went and had meals with them during that. I was there for a month. But you'd sit around a great big dinner table and you'd share all your stories. And the thread, you could pick up.
I'm watching Jordan smile to this. Yeah, was that the same? Just stay there for a second, Eileen. Stay there. Was that the same for you, Jordan? Was it interesting to be around other people and share stories?
Yeah,
it was like a home away from home, wasn't it?
Literally, yeah. It was. You'd develop these like strong connections with everyone at the clinic because you're going through treatment together, and so then you'd be going out and having dinner. So there'd be like 15 people at this like a little taverna,
all talking,
sharing their stories. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And it's interesting what you said about the soldiers coming back sick, because the theory behind it all is, and RFK was bringing it up in a roundtable recently. I know Nigel just pointed it out, but I've been sent it about Plum Island and all this other stuff. But I won't go there just yet, because I'm more interested in first off, what were the treatments they actually gave you? Okay. Let's start with Jordan. You said they were working. What treatments were they giving you that Australians Lyme sufferers don't get?
So as Eileen pointed out, the main focus for treatment is the ozone 10 pass, which is.
And what is that? What's the ozone 10 pass?
So ozone, it's like I guess it's ozone gas. Basically, with this one, the 10 pass, they take your blood out and they combine it. They mix it with the ozone, and then they put it back into your body, and it from my limited brain function at the moment, it basically kills off the bacteria that's in the blood, is like my simplest way of putting it.
Yeah, I get it.
And so that's
That
like
must
the
be
main
extraordinary to have your blood replaced.
Yes.
Yeah,
But it's your own blood.
Yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
get it, but it must be extraordinary to have your own blood replaced.
it's it's a fun experience. That's
Did
like
it
the
feel good
main.
afterwards, though?
Not immediately. Like
Okay.
you could feel pretty shocking. So there was times for a large part of the treatment, honestly, where I felt pretty horrible.
Wow.
But we all were experiencing this together. So
So you're all sitting there in this little bunch, all
We're-
feeling horrible.
yeah, we're all,
Was that
we-
the
we're
same
all
for you,
going through-
Eileen? Sitting there, did you have your blood replaced as well?
Yeah, I did. And you'd sit up there on a great big couch, and you'd watch. They'd answer any questions that you had about anything. They would just talk for it. They were lovely. They were very well trained. Their standards, as far as clinical expectations, were just spot on. Absolutely. They knew what they were doing. And that was just one part. Then that got topped up with other methods of, Jordan, what was it? You used to go in the next room and there'd be the
there's
drips,
there's the IV
the IV
next
treatment.
door that you go get different IV fluids. It could be different vitamins. It could be whatever. There's also an
And how
ozone
are you
that-
feeling at this point? So you've had the week of oxygen, having your blood with oxygen replenished. You said you were feeling crap. Was it starting to feel better after a week?
Oof.
Not that
Not that quick. It took
I-
me.
You must have been wondering, is this the treatment? It feels worse than the
Yeah.
cure seems worse than the disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it depends. Some people, like some ladies, were so very social, and they'd want to go out for lunch, and they enjoyed that. I just wanted to stagger home at the end of 5 days, and Richard came with me. He was my support, and he didn't come into the clinic. He stayed at the some apartments that we'd rented. And we call this Lyme.
right. That's right. But can I ask you, Eileen, before I get back to Jordan, you paid for this yourself, correct? This treatment?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So how much do you think, I don't know if Rich could answer for you, how much do you think you're out of pocket trying to deal with this illness from when you
Well,
first got it?
When
I'm
I
terrified to ask Jordan, but I'm just...
Yeah. Well, you're adding in Cyprus? Adding in
Yeah,
Cyprus?
sure,
Yeah.
of course.
Because when we did Cyprus, I needed Richard to come with me, and we had you need accommodation. They don't supply accommodation. They pick you up in a bus, take you backwards and forwards, and but I'm sure the prices have gone up. It was a few years since we were there, but I think you'd be looking at somewhere between 60 and 80,000.
And that's just for that. And then forget all the other treatments that you've had to do.
Yeah. The transit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Richard. How about yourself, Jordan? How much do you think? And I take it your family has helped you out a lot with this before.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Hugely.
how long is it? How long has it been? How much do you think, just an average, that
Wow.
you're out of pocket for something basically our medical system is ignoring?
With Yeah, together with my family, we're probably over the 12, 13 years it's been probably over probably around $500,000, I reckon, with all expenses. Just
Yeah.
it's expensive to try and
Can
fix
I ask
yourself.
you, and in all honesty, I don't mean to upset you, but because you've got a thing and the medical system is ignoring it, is there guilt with that of you, Jordan? Like, the family's having to come out with that. Do you have to deal with that as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Yeah. When in
it's
actual
been
fact, you're just the victim of this,
it's it definitely is something that has weighed on me for a long time, knowing that. And now the fact that going to Cyprus was only brought about by the fact that I had so many people chipping in. It's like I feel like I owe
Yeah.
everyone a massive debt, and I don't know how to repay that.
I tell you how you repay it. You repay it by living the best life you can within what you've got. That's how you do it. That's how you pay. They didn't give the money to get it. It's not like, hey, you owe me this plus 10%.
Yeah.
They want you to get better. They're helping. It's one of the hardest things of love is taking. Giving is the easy part of love, but taking is very hard for people. But that's what they're doing. They're giving you love.
Yeah, they are, and
It's really beautiful.
It's been greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of my family. And I see, I've had to. So when I'm struggling with all my symptoms, and when I'm going through times where I'm like, okay, I could die here, whatnot.
Yeah.
Like for me, it is what it is. I just have to deal with it. But when I look at my family, when I look at my sisters, when I look at my mom and dad, and I see how it affects them, that's when it hits. So yeah, that's the harder part for me. Is the burden? I don't know if burden's the right word, but is the impact that it has on them.
Yeah.
That's the hard part for me. I can deal with feeling like shite. I can
to have
cope
done
with
the
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I can cope with that. But seeing how it impacts the people around me is when it becomes very challenging.
Mm.
Yeah.
It must be the same yourself as with your partner Richard. Here you were in 58, because I'm 60 now. It's actually quite a fun time. Believe me, Jordan, if you hit the late
Yeah.
50s, it's actually quite
Yeah.
fun. They lie.
Hopefully
It's
get there.
apart from your body things not working, you're actually in a pretty good place. But Eileen, it must have been for you too. You must have felt something like, you're becoming a burden when obviously you're hardworking and positive. And this must where, especially if the medical establishment, the health industry is going, it's all in your head. You're making it up.
Yeah.
That must be an extra burden.
It's got like, we've got this. My greatest fear was the impact on my family. And I started, this is where the psychological stuff starts to come in. And I still have it now, where Richard says, I don't know how you do it. I said, because I want as normal as possible. It's hard to get there. But I do have a family close by, and I don't want this ugly thing. And I've had a lot more years of experience that I've thought, oh my God, I don't want this to impact on their life. They're young, they're happening, they're healthy. We've got a lovely family. And so you do a lot of hiding. You do a lot of pretending, or prepare yourself for something, hit it, maybe a birthday party or something, and then get out of there early and go home and crash. But it was like a line in the sand. Maybe I've been taken by it, but not my family. I don't want that. Yeah, it's awful. You've got to battle on a lot of different levels. I mean, there's what you go through with the disease, which is horrific. some people, some of my friends have ended up with the most atrocious, they lose mobility. One friend I made in Lyme Friends, she died actually. So there is a certain amount, not, a lot of us struggle through somehow. But there are people who, because they're not getting treated correctly, they haven't got the right diagnosis. And we had become friends on a Saturday coffee share. And then she just started to go downhill till she died. And deaths do happen. And
Do you think some of the death also, like say with you, Jordan, you've got a family supporting you, but if you've got, we interviewed a woman the other day. She was sitting in a she lives in a caravan of friend's property. She's lost
yeah,
everything,
I
you know,
remember.
and I found that terribly sad.
Yeah,
And if you've got no one backing you and you're all alone, and the world's telling you you've got nothing wrong with you, making it up, it
yeah,
must be very, very hard to hold on,
it is.
in times
It
like
is
that.
just that. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
have your lows, you terrible lows. Sometimes you go into a dark black hole because it's so hopeless. You can't
yeah.
even, I have a doctor now. I've been seeing him for 10 years. He's a GP, and we sort of agree. We get on really well, but there's a quiet understanding that Lyme is a no-go zone.
Oh well,
So
let's be honest here now. In Australia, if a doctor diagnoses Lyme disease, they can get suspended.
yeah,
This is
exactly.
this is the reality we're dealing with. Now there's with some theories where they don't want it to affect the meat industry. I mean, these are probably all theories, but this is ridiculous because
Yes,
it's not like there's only the two of you who've, I don't know if you've met, but I'm getting swamped with all these people. Look at the comments tonight. There's all these people struggling. Some woman said she spent over $200,000,
yeah,
uh, and she doesn't even here.
yeah.
Tiffany Degg. My family has easily spent over 200,000 on my Lyme disease. Also, look, she's beautiful and young. I'm scared to calculate accurately. Similar to Eileen Jordan, I've been to Cyprus as well, along with Switzerland to trip to see. I know people are going to Mexico. There's a guy on here, Nigel. I think it's
Yeah,
it's just, and most of us don't know about it. We literally don't know about it. I was telling Jordan. I think it was Nigel who introduced me when I was doing my trip around Australia, interviewing people about, the pandemic period, and he brought up he had Lyme disease, and I didn't even know what it was.
yeah.
That's how. If you don't have it, you literally never heard of it.
No,
And since then, I'm meeting people all the time that have it to varying degrees.
I think it's
I just
been.
want. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say it's been decades, and this is where I've done a lot of thinking, looking, reading, documentaries, webinars, and I like doing a lot of introspection. And no matter how many years I did it, it came up. It does not make sense. Nothing in this
No.
darn place is making any sense. Um, and oh, gee, it's my
Well, there
Lyme
is
brother.
one thing you said that makes sense. I hate to say it because it is. Well, the whole world believes it's a bioweapon, and you were
Yes,
saying the Russian soldiers were coming back unable to
yes,
fight. That's why you create a bioweapon. You take out an
yes,
army
yeah,
without bullets, without weapons. A tick is
yeah.
much easier to afford than a missile. So you can see what's behind it. And we had all the theories, but probably best to get a professional on. There's a doctor who I think almost got in touch with us. He might come on. But just going back to the human experience now, instead of going there, just with Jordan, you said you felt better after Cyprus. How was that? What did you notice? G'day, Nigel. How did you notice that? What was the first signs that you were getting better?
So yeah, coming back from Cyprus, within a couple of weeks, once I'd gotten over the jet lag coming back from Europe, within a couple of weeks, I just noticed that my energy levels were holding so much better. I think I saw someone comment that about if I've still got symptoms or whatever, that it mustn't be Lyme. But I've just had the best year health-wise I've ever had in my memory of the last 13 or so years. So within a few weeks I was like, okay, my energy's holding, my brain is working a lot better. I can think through things. I can start to like, okay, I can look a bit further ahead in life now. What steps can I take? I wasn't getting, because I used to get really bad like joint and muscle aches and whatnot. So that disappeared. So I was walking, I was doing things with exercising without the pain that I'd associated with that. My seizures stopped for about, it would have been close to 4 months for an extended period after the treatment. I had 4 months without the seizures. They did come back through this year on and off, but I've now had about 2 months again without them, which has been really nice. And yeah, throughout this past year, my energy, my skin, I would get continue to get like a cystic acne on my back. That's settled right down. I would get gut issues. I would get brain issues, although my brain fog has come back the last week or two. It's been pretty average at the moment, but for the most part, I'm significantly improved. My body weight is up. I used to fluctuate and drop weight like crazy. I think when I left Cyprus, I was about 70 kilos.
Oh,
I'm about 78 at the moment, so I'm up about 8 kilos, mostly muscle, I like to think. So feeling healthier, much more active. I'm working out through the week. I'm able to work more consistently now, and more physical jobs as well. I don't know. It's just like it's a different world. It's like I haven't recognized the person that I've been for the past years. It's been been amazing.
That is so gorgeous. How about you, Eileen? Have you seen any improvement, or are you still cycling?
Yeah, well, because I was bitten at 58, there's this understanding that the younger you are and the quicker you have your first treatment, if you are bitten, the more likely you are is to get good results. As you get older, the body doesn't. You might get a bit of remission or improvements, which makes life more livable. But we had to do a runner because I was already 58 and Richard was 64. And when we learned, the younger ones respond better, we thought, well, we better get cracking because we're getting up there. So we did just that. We just said, hey, kids, we're going to Cyprus. And they're like, what? And the day before we left, Richard got sick as can be. He was my carer. He was the one that was going to look after me. He got sick as a dog. And we sort of had to lug each other on the plane. And
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing.
I think when you've got Lyme, you find strengths you never thought you had. You work things out. You have to. You have this sense of being operating fully from your own steam, intuition. Nothing is sort of supporting. So, sorry, Michael, what did you say?
That's okay. Let's just going back to here though. Now, and seeing going forward. It's very clear. I know there's been a Senate inquiry and stuff and all this, but it's very clear now that our government doesn't want to acknowledge that Lyme is here, where it seems to be everywhere in the world now, or it seems to be in a lot of places.
Absolutely.
Germany, Mexico, America, Justin Timberlake's got it. There's another young singer, if you want to look him up, called Ren, R-E-N. He's like a new Mozart. He is so incredibly unique. I've seen other musos look at him going, oh my Lord, it's literally like a new Mozart. He has it. He had it for years and he didn't know what it was. And he literally got to the point of wanting to die. He has it. So it's around, it's here. But as a community, we're supposed to have a community that we look after each other. And I just can't stand it at the moment. We have I do a lot of things with, not as many as, say, Rosemary Marshall, but a lot of things with people who have COVID vaccine injuries. They're ignored. They're just ignored. And now, but you guys came before that. And that, I think, is the hardest thing. Even if we don't have the actual treatment, just the acknowledgement, okay, you have this, and we're in the process of trying to figure out treatments, would at least lift the spirits of the people that have it. It would be some form of, it just seems to be the moral clarity. It seems to be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I despair that our country has this attitude of like, nah, shun you, like the doctors, changing thing, getting you out of the system because they don't want to getting you out of their office because they don't want to be deregistered or get in trouble. I think it's a terrible, I'm really, that's the reason I keep doing these stories now, is that there's something here and it has to be addressed and we have to care for each other. That's Australia. You know, that should be the Australia I want to live in. What are your thoughts on that, Nigel? What would you like to see happen from, say, the government or the health department?
My question is, what does not acknowledging Lyme disease benefit anyone? The person is still sick. You still, if you're a doctor, first do no harm. You have a duty of care to treat the person. So dismissing them is, I guess, breaking your oath. But there's still a sick person. Not acknowledging the condition doesn't change anything. If you don't treat them, then you have another person in society unable to contribute, who's probably, I guess, going to go on welfare, whatever it might be, becoming a burden on the system. If you actually acknowledge it, if you actually treat them, you have more functioning, beneficial members of society who want to work, who want to help, who want to contribute, but you take that away from them because you can't acknowledge that we have a condition in this country that you think doesn't exist. It's like, well, that doesn't really matter in the end. Treat the person. There's a sick person in front of you. Treat them, and then we have long-term benefits from that. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
That's my mantra. It doesn't make sense. And then I started going like the clappers. It doesn't make sense. And I guess I just kept digging and searching, going down the rabbit holes, kept, and eventually I started hitting the whole, the story of when I heard bioweapon first, I thought, shock. I mentioned it to one of my daughters and she said, that doesn't happen here. That's not human. But we had to look into that, and we have. And we're absolutely backed 1,000% by Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, I know.
Now, and it's coming out. I don't know if you saw his presentation yesterday morning at 6:00.
No, I've been sent it, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, it's in YouTube, and it's just called.
Yeah, I've got the link. Yeah, I might post the link actually. Yeah. No, I've been working on my bus. I live in a bus, and the front suspension is an issue. So I was trying to tighten it all up today, and one of the spanners decided to give me a crack.
Well, I've been following you, and we nearly went to Epic, actually. We were in the spirit of it all. We were going, and we thought, how can we sickies go? But we wanted. We said, come on, we can do it. And I thought, well, we can't go in with the crowds in this state that we're in. The young ones won't know what we're like. So we booked some accommodation. We happily waited. We were going to take our dog. Everything was in place, and I did a big crash. And so we couldn't go. And we just watched, and we wanted so bad to be there.
Look,
And
it was a spiritual event. If you were
yeah,
you could be there spiritually. It was. I'm telling you, it was a spiritual, life-changing
yeah,
spiritual event for anyone who was there.
yeah.
If you're watching
You
it, a
could see
spiritual
that
event.
looking on, that there was
Yeah.
I was watching this young girl skating around the whole time on her skates. We watched the whole thing.
Yeah, roller girl. Yeah. The other
Yeah,
interesting thing is the infected blood. I know they have a guy that's constantly, I haven't seen him for a while actually doing his rants, but the infected blood, these are things that we seem to be ignoring. And that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Jordan, I'm old enough to be your dad. And so people our age, no, but I feel we have an obligation to look after our sons because you're going to grow up. Maybe you'll have sons and daughters of your own and bring in the next generation. So we should be looking after ourselves. I think it's a fundamental flaw with our society at the moment that I don't want to get into the Bondi thing, but there seems to be this great level of denial
yeah,
and I don't see how that benefits anyone. How can we fix problems if we're not even allowed to talk about them or identify them? The
yeah,
first step to fixing a problem is identifying it. And then we go, okay, this is what it is. How do we fix it? But we're not allowed to get there because no one's allowed to talk about it, even the doctors. And they must be in a terrible state if they get, say, someone like the two of you turning up and they want to help you because they became doctors to help. And yet they've got this sort of overlord going, get ready. The next thing you'll be going, you won't be saying, do you want a prescription with that? You'll be saying, do you want fries with that? That's you'll be out of a job. So I think it just does my head in. It
yeah,
really does my head in. I don't understand it from just a fundamentally good human point of view. I don't get it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
I think
Sharon. Yeah,
we
Sharon
from
was the
there
first one interviewed.
go down. We've been like that too, trying to sit with things, muse over it, and try to work it out. And then bit by bit, you move into something else to include into your. You used to muse a little bit. You'd sit in your Florence, and I used to love it actually. And you'd be musing over things that I think one you was on God, and
Mm.
I just sat there and listened. I thought, yeah, I get it.
I talk a
You
lot
know,
of shit. It's true.
you were asking questions of this or is it that and I do a lot of that too. I can't sit there. I've got to take it further, sort of outside the square, especially
Mm.
government squares. Outside, I've got to go out and look, and I listen to any clues that come through.
Yeah,
And then
I get
the
that.
first time I heard about bioweaponry, I didn't know where to go with it. Then someone said a particular book, so I read that book. Now, what we had yesterday with Kennedy, he's going to have the whole lot out. He says it's time, and
Yeah, it is
there'll be,
time.
yeah, it's no holes barred. He knows the whole story. He's quite a brilliant man actually, and you probably know that he had Lyme, and all his children got Lyme, and
Wow, I did not know that.
yeah, and he's impassioned about this, and like
Yeah.
he wrote books about Fauci and about Wuhan and all that sort of thing. Nobody sues him because he gets his detail right on. Because if he doesn't, he'll get
Well, no
sued.
one's suing me. I'm doing these. No one's suing us, and it, the government will be coming down on me hard, going, "What are you doing?" No one's suing me, So I just get lots of trolls, like the person that was putting you down, who. So he trolls us a lot, but I'm not actually, it's an interesting thing, The other thing I was going to put out to everyone in the Lyme, people in the Lyme community, if that's what you call it, we've got a thing now called the Banned Book Club or Banned Book Company, where we help market books that can't get on bookshelves and stuff like that. So if there's anyone out there who's written a book about their Lyme disease experience, I remember I interviewed one woman who did that. Get in touch with us and we'll put it in, because people need to know. And even if they first get it, it's, I think, just getting the first bit of acknowledgement might not be from the government or a doctor, but it might be from people like yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're not alone. We've got it. We don't have the answers, but at least you're not alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might wrap it up for tonight. I'm going to go start with Eileen. Is there anything you'd like to say to the public or the government or anything about what you've been through?
Well, what I went through, I found could have been avoided, and it's totally unnecessary. And where the government, another layer, like you just can't get through this layer of stupidity. Where is the public education? I knew nothing at 58 years of age. The children are the highest risk level. You, me, anyone. Look, I got bingo out of the blue. I got really bad bite, and my life has not been the same ever since. And I would say the government's education is nearly zero. If you get a first aid kit, you might find a little booklet in there that says how to pull a tick out. But there is so much more to know about them. Learn up. Really, they are. Well, the other day, the mainstream media actually put up that they're predicting this summer season to be the worst ever with ticks in particularly New South Wales. And so they're sort of saying, beware, be careful, get
in the
your
bush
dogs.
in New South Wales. That's great.
Yeah.
You guys have actually made me freak out. I do bushwalks now like this.
Yeah,
we get back to the bus, we strip down, and we're looking everywhere.
check everything. But the thing is,
check your hair like monkeys, like going through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you got a
It's
dog?
easier for me.
No, I don't have a dog.
Sorry, if you get a dog, they can go in the bush, get a tick, and then they can come inside and curl up on your lap, and then you get a tick. But this thing came on. It was on Main Street, and they made a big deal. They went over and over. It was going to be a shocking year for ticks, and but this is a young saying I got from my kids. They say this is the kicker. The kicker was the concern is not for us; it's for dogs, because the veterinary science believes in it. If I take a dog to Queensland, they'll say, "Oh, you're going on holidays. Where are you going?" "Oh, we're going up the East Coast." "Oh, you better, your dog can get anywhere between sick, die, and it's going to be a terrible season, and it's going to be paralysis, ticks, all the things that give us Lyme disease, ruin our lives, is excluded. But you better get your dog vaccinated." And that that's where's the sense? Like it
what
just,
happens
and then
when you let Monty
pictures.
Python rule the world,
You'll see pictures of poor dogs. They're all hitched up and they don't know if they can get them through. But us Aussies are supposed to get, no, I've seen a few high profile people, some we know well, all of us, end up in North Shore Hospital, and really shocking, like they get bitten, they get as sick as, really, really sick. You see them go in and they're famous, either a sports star, a politician, a couple of politicians, Koshy's wife, a whole lot of them, and they get gold star treatment, and they get, where we're told we can't have it, it's not available, and there's no ticks. The reason is because if they're high profile, they'll come out and they've got a means of using the media that we can't, we don't. And we every time we hear of a high profile person, we can imagine all the antibiotics and everything. They come out looking shocking, but they get over it and then they sort of get on with their lives, which is what we'd like to do.
I think that's called everybody's equal, but some are more equal than others.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And
going
they're
out to George.
not frightened
No.
of us, but they're afraid of the politician is very well known. And we call ourselves limeys. We might as well be light somewhere. And, you know, I've done it again.
That's okay.
It's like, hey?
It's okay. You've done very well. You've done very well. I can see you
Thank you.
struggling out. You've done very well. But Jordan, would you take us out? What would you like to say if the government was listening? You know, if someone who did care, what would you like to say? What would you like to see happen?
So, I guess just acknowledgement would be nice, because as we said, that makes a big difference. And so not having the medical profession just dismiss us out of hand as soon as we mention anything to do with ticks, just let's take it on board. Let's try and take some steps to recognizing what is right in front of us. We need more research in this country. So please, let's have a bit of funding. Let's have some support. Let's back the people that are actually interested in this topic. Let's not shun them, shut them down. Let's listen. I think just some small things could make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. And then also, if you have friends that are sick, don't treat them like they're crazy. Support them, listen to them. From my experience, having family and friends that listen and care and support, and I know the same is for Eileen, that makes a big difference. There's a lot of people that don't have that. So we just look out for each other and we can all offer something. We can all make a difference in each other's lives. So yes, let's just try and make some simple changes to help each other out.
Yeah.
Beautifully said, Jordan. Okay, stay in the studio. I'm just going to play the final song to get up. This song's called Cure. And I wish you both the best. God bless to both of you. I really wish you the best, especially you, Jordan. I think you got a lot to offer the country, brother. And it's a shit, that place that you're in, but who knows where it'll lead to. But anyway, we'll go to the last song. And everyone says once a month, I think I'll do working with Sharon and Nigel, but working with Sharon especially to do stories like this. I think we'll just keep them going. So the more people hear it, to go, these are real people, real Australians with real stories, and they have to be heard. And in the mainstream media, hello. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Back with Lindsay tomorrow. Lindsay, the psychologist, at 8:00. See you then.
Cool.
If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I'd pour light into your wounds to soak their poison into the potions of love, into the golden and smoldering potion of love.
So help has arrived, and we're very
And
grateful.
as their darkness drained, I would tear apart your cage into your destined wings, into your destined wings, flying above us all in your destined wings.
Absolutely gorgeous. We were the only people parked.
And if from your flight you return, I would have sewn a blanket for you, cut fresh from the curative fabric of spring. But hopefully you'd fly off to that destination you were born with, the one they try to steal from your soul. That destination you were born with, the one they try to steal from your soul. If I could be anything for you,
I'd like to say a huge thank you to
I would be your cure.
who's come out and supported Michael and Cafe Lockdown to continue doing good.
If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I would tear apart your cage, remolding the bars that held you into your destined wings, your destined wings, your destined wings, your destined wings. Fly, just fly. Realize all that is holding you down. The concepts, if I could be anything for you, if I could be anything, I would be your cure. I would be your cure. I would be your cure. If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I'd pour light into your wounds to soak their poison into the potions of love, into the golden and smoldering potions of love.